The panel that ruled on Cesar Parra's case was, quote, amazed to see how creative he has been in trying to find techniques and practices that would hurt horses in perfect indifference to their suffering, end quote. So let's get into it. So back in August 2025, the FEI tribunal gave 62-year-old dressage rider Cesar Parra a 15-year suspension for reportedly abusing horses in his care. And up until now, we did not know what kind of evidence exactly the FEI had in their possession. We only kind of heard rumors and hearsay and saw some videos that had come out. But now, the full tribunal report has been released. Full disclosure, I did have to take notes, so you may see me reading from my notes sometimes. I just didn't want to get anything wrong. I wanted to make sure I got you guys the correct information, and the easiest way to do that was just to take notes. So if you see me looking down or to the side, most likely I'm reading from my notes. So, dressage rider Cesar Parra was given a suspension of 15 years by the FEI tribunal for reported horse abuse of horses in his care. And as part of their evidence, they had 29 videos, 25 photos, and 4 witness statements. One of the witnesses was a former employee of Cesar Parra. And in their tribunal statement, or at least one of the statements they gave, they stated, quote, the respondent's philosophy was that by taking the horse's legs away from them, he would make them humble, unquote. And yet another witness that was a rider who worked for Cesar Parra stated, horses were, quote, left for hours with their heads tied down, as well as tying the horse's head down and at the same time excessively whipping the horse from the ground, end quote. The tribunal panel itself found that Cesar Parra had excessively used the whip and spurs, had caused damage to the horses' mouths by misusing his hands and abusing the equipment, and some of that equipment reportedly involved metal nuts under the noseband and elastic hobbles and shackles. And apparently the panel also found that Cesar Parra's training techniques resulted in welts, swellings, open wounds, cuts, and sores in the horses' mouths. And remember, this is all based on evidence that was sent to the FEI that included 29 videos, 25 pictures, and 4 witness statements. And of course, Cesar Parra is denying all of that. Cesar Parra denies he ever abused a horse. He basically is saying that there's a difference between a mistake in training and abusing a horse, and that he did not abuse a horse. And to back that up, he submitted 54 declarations in his defense. And those declarations of support for Cesar Parra come from clients, trainers, grooms, farriers, and friends of Cesar Parra. But the FEI panel seems to disagree, and they have submitted that the abuse the horses endured involved most, if not all, the horses he, Cesar Parra, owned or trained continuously and repetitively throughout several years. And also, if I'm understanding this correctly, it also sounds like Cesar Parra may have instructed those working for him to behave in a similar fashion as he has reportedly behaved towards horses. Which brings me to the title of this video and how come I feel this way. This way about Cesar Parra. Now, you may have a differing opinion on Cesar Parra to me, but after seeing everything that I saw, reading everything that I read, that is what I think of him. That is my opinion of him. You can disagree. That's fine. We will just agree to disagree on this point. But honestly, after everything that I read about him, I don't know who in their right minds would put a horse in training with him, or would have kept a horse in training with him, or even how he found people to work for him or ride for him. Honestly, after a certain point, it's really? Because, that could not have been a big secret in the industry. People talk in the industry. I can't imagine that people would not have known if that was happening or not. Clients, grooms, farriers, friends, how would they not have known that that was happening? this is a small industry, really. Like, word gets around. It may not like be public knowledge, but people will be in the know. There will be people that talk about it behind the scenes and know. And even say if there were people that didn't initially know, once you go into a program like that and you start noticing little things like that, whether you're working for the person or you're a client of the person, like, why would you stay? Like, I get like some people may not know going in per se because maybe they didn't hear the talk, but like to stay in a situation where you start seeing certain signs, etc., why would you stay in that program? And I'm just talking in general terms with that because you know Cesar Parra isn't the only trainer that is reportedly having alternative training methods that may not be suitable or conducive to actual horsemanship. Or basically, in more simple terms, like, we pretty much know that there are other trainers out there that would be considered abusing horses or actively abusing horses, but that those trainers probably wouldn't think or look at what they were doing as abusive to horses. But we know they're out there. Just generally speaking, we know they're out there. And generally speaking as well, inevitably, those kinds of trainers will always have an excuse. They'll always explain it away. They'll always have a reason, and they are never actually abusing a horse. But back to Cesar Parra, I feel like there's no remorse there. Like, I feel like that. I feel like he's been found by the FEI tribunal, the FEI panel, the FEI, to have done these things. And there's no remorse there. It doesn't seem like there's any remorse there. I mean, maybe there is and I've missed it, but I don't get that feeling. I don't get that sense from everything he said and everything he's done. I still feel like he doesn't see that he's done anything wrong. But like, the FEI doesn't just hand out suspensions in general, let alone 15-year suspensions. Like, there had to be a lot there, and it sure sounds like there was, for them to hand out just a normal 6-month suspension, let alone like a 15-year one. Like, come on, Cesar Parra. Come on. At the very least, I feel like Cesar Parra should at least come forward and say he is sorry. I don't think that it would get rid of his 15-year suspension with the FEI, nor do I think it should. I don't think it would necessarily make people like him any better, which I don't necessarily think it should either. But I do think like some self-reflection and acknowledgement is a good thing for anybody. And I think that just him saying he was sorry could be the first step of that. Because sometimes when you like acknowledge something that you did wrong, it helps with your growth. Like, maybe he could take that and use that and say, hey, yeah, that wasn't cool. Like, I need to better myself and better the treatment of the horses in my care. And that could be a first step just for himself personally to say he is sorry, even if publicly it doesn't necessarily help him. Because in the end, sometimes things like this are a personal journey. And it just doesn't seem like he's taking that personal journey. It doesn't feel like he's taking that personal journey saying, hey, I didn't do very good here. How can I do better? I will acknowledge that I didn't do good, and I will go on and do better. And by saying he's sorry, that could be a first step. That could be a catalyst to that. But I don't see that here. That has not happened. Maybe it will. It has not happened, though. At least not as of recording this that I am aware of. So anyway, guys, everything that I went through in this video is pretty much why I feel this way about Cesar Parra. But I would love to know what your thoughts on all of this are after watching this video. So let me know in the comments below.